Hello, and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, strategies, and insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Scott of Friends and Neighbors. How's it going, Scott?
Great, Shiv. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on. And I would love to just start this off by learning a little bit more about your background, Scott, and a little bit more about friends and neighbors.
Cool. I'm a creative director at Friends and Neighbors, an executive creative director. I did not have a typical journey into advertising creative. I was in nonprofit literary publishing when I was very young. Got some proofreading skills out of that, and then got into the catalog world and was because I could write like jacket copy and things like that. They offered me some writing stuff to do. And then that catalog got picked up by Target. And then I became a creative at Target, which was a game changer.
Yeah.
And then began to work with agencies in that role, and then jumped to agency side and have been agency side and independent ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
for those of us that don't know, what's friends and neighbors? What do you guys do over there?
Sure. Friends and Neighbors, we're relatively small. Some would say boutique, but we don't think of ourselves as boutique branding and a marketing agency. So we do brand strategy, we do brand creation, obviously. We do campaigns, everything that falls under the idea of authentically articulating what your brand is, what your brand voice is, and how it aligns with the audience you're trying to get after it. Classic. The thing that separates us apart a little bit is we think quite a bit is we utilize a process called brand anthropology to
Mm.
uncover truths that align between your audience and your brand. And using anthropology as a tool helps us see some things that clients don't always see about themselves and their brand. It's a little bit more of a rigorous and a little bit more scientific, and lets you dive in and gives you an excuse to hold the mirror up in some ways that clients might not be used to. And it's almost always, I'm being a little like cagey about it, but almost always it ends up with insights where they feel like they've been heard and seen in ways that they haven't in a long time. So it can be a
Yeah.
pretty moving process for clients.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And just first off, because brand is this like ethereal thing. It's very hard to define. And I love that you guys put a little bit of science behind it because there's
Mhm.
definitely a science, but it's
Yeah.
this challenge where you're trying to define the undefinable, right? And that's A. And B, that's really hard for companies themselves to do because you get this tunnel vision where if you're the leader of a company or if you're in the C-suite of a company, you're just focused on KPIs a lot of times and doing
Yeah.
all these things. So it's really hard to determine what your brand is. And there's this inherent value in hiring an agency like yours to come in and be like, hey, I know you think this is what your brand is, but this is actually what your brand is. This is what people are saying about you. And so I think that's cool that you guys are being able to put a little bit of science behind that.
It helps because it acts as a natural, almost like a third party validator in a way, because I have profound empathy for C suite people who got to where they are using the tools that they know. Those KPIs are extremely important. When you're
Mhm.
building something, you are beholden to those probably first and foremost. And your intuitive sense of brand usually is a pretty good one, and you're creating it together as a group, as a team, and that ends up being pretty powerful stuff. The idea that when we can come in, we love coming in early at that stage too, but often it's a little bit later when you've created something and you're not really sure how to express it. It's how to live it, and honestly giving clients the, I don't know, the freedom and the bravery to live it, and to live it consistently, and to go where it naturally would be taking you, because that instinct to create it as you're building the plane, as you're flying it, so to speak, is not one to be taken lightly. It's pretty smart, but it's that leap of faith that comes from there that the brand anthropology helps really our clients take.
Yeah, for sure. And so you describe your agency's approach as human first. What does that look like in practice from choosing clients to building strategy?
Definitely, I'm so glad you brought up the choosing clients component, because it is absolutely something that we do. We're too small to be able to chase everything. We have definitely turned things down because it was not the right scale for us, but also not the right just fit. And the first thing we look for in fit is what kind of humans are on the other side of this transactional relationship, which, as we all know, ends up being far more than a transactional relationship. So we human first comes in, what's the right move for ourselves and our business, but also the people that we work with on a day-to-day basis, but also that we partner with across the board, but also those clients on the other side of the transaction. The second thing that it really does for us is it helps us bring empathy to the table. Because the science of anthropology can only really take you so far. We've run into situations where everything that we learned said you need to change your name, and there's someone sitting on the board whose uncle started the company, and he can't do it. He just can't get there. And so we have to then have empathy for that, and not what can we build then with that guardrail or that reality in place. And empathy helps you do that a lot, because it doesn't do any good to get mad as a creative, I'm well used to this, because how many of my brilliant ideas didn't go anywhere because someone was too stupid to see it on the other side.
Right.
They're not too stupid. They have their own opinions in the whole deal. And sometimes the ideas aren't that great anyway. So you have to then go back and come together and figure out what you're going to build accordingly, knowing that idea is not going forward. It's the same thing with brand anthropology, and having a human approach really allows you to see that other person's point of view and their heart, what their heart is in it. Because that's really that's helpful for us, because then if we can have them bringing their hearts to the process of branding, you've already unlocked something magical. And your odds are you're going to create something with them that's powerful, and it moves the needle on their business too.
Yeah. And that's really interesting. That's a great approach, because I think, first of all, just for people like us that are in the agency world, picking and choosing your clients is a new thing, because everybody with first, you're just trying to get as many clients as you can. You're trying to build your book of business, and you really want to build and whatever. But the thing is that a lot of people now, I think, have realized that leads to burnout. That's the number one reason. When you work with clients that you don't like, or clients that don't like you, it very easily becomes a burnout thing.
Yeah.
And it also makes your job easier when you're working with people that you like, because there's this nice, healthy back and forth where you guys can engage in actual good conversations, rather than this, hey, this is a very transactional thing where we have to provide you this amount of ROI, or we've got to hit these KPIs. So I love that approach. And that's choosing your clients, but you take it even a step further when it comes to even how you hunt for new business. And so you say that you've been thinking a lot about new business hunting from an authentic place. What does that mean to you? And how do you know when you've found the right fit?
Yeah, I think one of the realizations that we came to in terms of hunting for new biz from an authentic place is no one goes to the Google one day and says, no CMO probably goes to Google and types in, I want a really good group of people to work on my brand. Type that in the Google. No, they're either looking for a niche. So we've been thinking about that a lot lately. And tell us what makes you distinct. And if I might be searching for that. So I don't know if anyone's going to search for a human first brand agency either. So we're building what those values are and what that niche might be to filter in, and we're going a pretty clear place there. But just the idea that you are going to start from a place of, we know that you're not looking for someone who's just probably a generalist. We know we need to be offering you something more than just saying we can do a great job, we can do a logo, we can do a website. It's not really true. So you're starting in authentically. Sure, we can do a website. If anyone's out there that needs a website, call friends and neighbors, we'll be able to do it. But it's not really, you're starting from an inauthentic place right away if you're just trying to take all comers and take all jobs, because you're not starting in a place that's true and fair to the person who is thinking about engaging you. So that right away. And then also, as we get more into more of things that we feel like we excel at, and that it's a way of deciding and helping our decision tree along. So we're treating ourselves with more grace and less scurry and worry and trying to be all things to all people. But we're also going to arrive on someone's doorstep, if it's a cold call or a relationship that someone's helped us forge. We're going to arrive at that moment from a truer, more authentic place, because we know that everything that they do is something that we are more than capable and actually excited to get done. So it always helps that when you can say, I know all the problems you're talking about in the first 5 minutes, and we're so excited to help you in the first 5 minutes of the conversation.
Yeah.
That to me is like, that's a powerful beginning to a relationship.
Yeah, for sure. So
Rather than someone saying, "What's it going to cost to do a blah blah?" Oh, that's good too. I love people talking about in our business. I really think the from more of a human, authentic place from the get go allows you to do better work down the line. I
yes,
really
yeah,
100%
exactly.
believe in that.
Yeah, it's like building a great foundation where,
Yeah,
and then that's what everything, that's where your entire relationship relies on. Just to dive a little bit deeper into this, Scott, a company that might be looking to go from what they're doing now, an agency specifically, let's say, that is, hey, we want to do more authentic outreach. We want to do more human first outreach. What does that really look like in practice? And how do you balance that with having goals that you need to hit?
yeah,
Your revenue goals and all that stuff for your agencies. How do you balance those two things?
yeah, for sure. You have to be still. Nothing takes the place of the entrepreneurial hustle, which at our size and even probably increasingly sizes up from us, you have to be doing. Everybody has to be doing at pretty much every level. I think
Mhm.
that new business machines are great, but they only work for larger entities, and I think that's perfectly appropriate at those entities. But you need to be have an entrepreneurial mindset from the get go. So we tend to hire people who have that came from a little bit of that world, either a freelance business or we're out there freelancing, or we're at smaller places as well, or had built something themselves and then wanted to bring that to us in their
Mhm.
discipline. um in terms of, I just met with she's not a young woman, but she's starting her design brand independent branding agency. It's just herself, and she calls it Coping Creative, which I think is fantastic. And the reason why I bring her up is because she's in that phase where you have to take every call, you have to take every project. You really need to be thinking of an aggressive pricing strategy, so you're paying bills, and she's got a 2-year old, and that's she got, got people to feed, people depending on her. And at a certain level, agency life is no different. You have to be out there willing to take that work, but you also have to know it's one thing to take it from a place of, we're doing this so that we can meet this month's goal or whatever it is, even though we know it's probably not our core capacity or our core where our hearts are. And then to know that then you're also having those coffees and those meetings and that outreach with where your heart and your energy and your passion is. And also I think it gives you you can still, so that's, first of all, that's just the reality of starting something and growing it. But then even when you're doing those things, it gives you a lens for, okay, if you're going to go out and shake trees and hustle and do that entrepreneurial thing, go where you liked, go to more of the people that you liked the last project you worked on, whatever it was, the last person who wrote you a check. Engage that person. Don't be afraid to ask them, did I do a good job?
Yeah.
Introduce me to some people that you would know.
Yeah.
That there's no finer moment than when you've done a good job for someone to ask them for,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not too soon. And
Exactly.
9 times out of 10, if you started off with that authentic human connection as client agency or as a client freelancer or starting a new business, you that's a no-brainer for that person. They want to help you because you've helped them so much. So ask
Exactly.
for it and then go where that heat and that passion is.
Uh,
It just helps you get up every day too and do
Yeah.
what you love to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where it's like people don't ask, and it's always a no if you don't ask. And
For
so,
sure. Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah,
it might be weird and uncomfortable, but just honesty about, hey, we're trying to grow and we're trying to do,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we love this relationship so much. Anything else you have, give it our way,
Yeah.
be our first call. But also, is there someone you know that you would trust with us?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think most people, a lot of people don't understand this, but people love helping other people. People love it. You know what I mean? And so when you come at it from that
There's
frame,
no greater door unlocker than, Shiv, I've got a problem that you are uniquely able to help me
yeah,
with. Would you
yeah,
spend half an hour with me to talk to me about it? That's a no-brainer, of course.
yeah,
What is it?
yeah,
Now, if you do it all the time and it's just like, I have a 1%, I have a 1%, I'm 1% off of my revenue goal or my new business
yeah.
outreach goal. Would you just talk? You have to play that card uniquely, but if no one is going to turn that entree down.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Wow, this has been awesome, Scott. Thank you so much. Really
Sure.
informative. I love the way you approach your business. I think it's really refreshing, especially in the agency world, how you guys are doing it. Sounds like you guys have an awesome agency over there. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about Friends and
Sure.
Neighbors?
Sure. I will also add, before you get me off my soapbox, that the in terms of creative work, that same approach, and I've always called it kind of relationship. I'm a relationship creative, internally and externally. Like I've never done anything good. Rarely has it ever been like straight out of my brain onto a thing. That rarely happens. It's other creatives, but it's also account and strategy, strong
Mhm.
partnership there. And honestly, the willingness and the trust from clients. And that all comes from strong relationships. If you want to hear any more of somebody else articulate any of that better than me, friendsandneighbors.com is where Friends and Neighbors is located. We're on all the socials as well. Our founders, Mark and Tom, are always available for a chat, a consultation of any kind. Mark comes from the strategy world. Tom's an old creative like me, so we're both writers. So we get along. Either we get along famously, or sometimes we battle famously. But on the whole, we get along famously. Friends-neighbors.com. You can check us out. We're pretty active on LinkedIn and the others.
Cool. Thank you so much again for being on. This was
Yeah,
great.
of course, Shiv. This has been a total pleasure. I love talking about this stuff, and
Yeah.
hopefully, I answered everything cogently, and you have something to edit to.
Yeah, you did awesome. Thanks.
All right, great. Thanks.